Hey, what's up everybody? Back part 3 on this frame here, man. Another day, another no dollar. Like more dollars spent. I just went up and bought some steel so I can get started on this wreck. This thing is really bad. Yeah. Alright, I guess this is going to be part 3. What I've done is I scooted the rear end up in here and just put it up on some stands, and then I took the jack and jacked it up in the center of the rear end to mainly just hold these up, and I could squeeze the whole thing into the garage and be able to shut my door and plus be able to sit here and work on it. So yeah, what the hell is that? As you can see, man, I got my work cut out for me. That's a plate right there that I made out of some 3/16, which was way too thick for this frame. That's what I was going to use until I found out it's really way too thick, man. And you can see over here, yeah. Let me go ahead and switch the camera around. Okay, so what I went out and done is I went out and bought some 12 gauge steel. I measured the thickness of the frame and the thickness of this, and it's pretty much the same thickness. This right here actually may be just a little bit thicker than the frame. So that damn thing right there was hell to cut with cutting wheel, and I tried to use my plasma cutter on it, and it didn't. That junk didn't even cut through it, man. All it done was made a mess. You can see right here where it's all shitty on the edges here, man. But I'm going to use this piece here as a template and make 4 of them, because all these edges here is pretty much got the same curve in them, so I can work with them, trim them off and stuff like that as I go. So what I'm going to do is, I guess I'm going to start trimming some pieces off it. Take that off and lay it up here and trace it out and cut it out, and we'll get started. Once I get it welded up, I'm going to go do a final grind on it, and then I'm going to move up to this one here, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to try to get this all in one episode if I can. So it might be able to wind up being like an hour-long video by the time I'm done, putting it all back together and everything. On this next piece here, I'm going to go into showing you pretty much what I do here and show you how you can do it. If you ain't got, a lot of tools to work with, basically all you really need is a good heavy hammer and something to cut metal with, and a welder. Alright guys, we're back. It's a few days later. I've got this one rail here pretty much done. I've got to go in behind it and well behind it and everything like that, but I pretty much got it all welded in, grinded down, and now we're going to move over to this here. Get this jack out of here for a minute. This here. Yeah. You can see it's, well, I don't know if you can see, but you can see it's got like a weird shape to it, and this is all bent down. Over here it's pushed up. That's because of the iron oxide that was breaking off, which I thought at one time might have been, excuse me guys, it's morning time and I'm not fully awake here, but I thought it was shims is what I thought. Over here's the pile of all the iron that fell out of this frame when I took it apart. I mean, look at the size of some of these pieces, man, and how thick they are. That's crazy, man. Yeah, so I wanted to show you guys that before I cleaned it up and just show you how much rust actually came out of this frame. And this stuff right here is really, really thin. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm probably going to have to replace it all the way back right before this. I wanted to keep that right there because that's where the frame and everything bolts together. So in order to keep it in line like it's supposed to be, I don't want to go and remove this. But I think I'm going to come back. I think I'm going to come back like right before this hole here. It seems to be, okay there. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to hammer and dolly this out straight. Get it good and flat. You can see what's all pushed up right there. See how it's all bent up? I need to get that straight. Get everything straight. Then I'll make me a template. And I think I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on this one right here for you guys that are doing something like this to your Dakota or whatever frame you're working on. It's all pretty much the same stuff. So this one right here, it's pretty much done, except for I'm gonna have to fill that in, and also I'm gonna have to do some welding here on the back. Go around, weld that up. This right here, let me get around here where I can show you. Okay, this right here is all pushed down, which I'm pretty sure needs to come up and come straight across. It's just where all that iron is pushed it apart, pushed and tried to separate the two pieces. This side over here, not near as bad as this side. But I want to get the worst side first. Okay, let me get this set up on tripod, and I'll try to go a little bit more in depth of how to go about doing this. There's another guy online that's got a video out. I was watching the other day. It's a 4-part video on doing this. He's doing his a little bit different the way I'm doing mine, but he actually, you know, he done a pretty good job. And so, yeah. All right, let's get this set up on tripod and get at it. And I took this piece out and test fitted it in behind this piece here, and it was way too big, so I had to trim some off the top. So now it looks like I'm rocking and ready to go. So I'm tacking this, just gonna tack us along here on the edge. I'm bringing the edges. Let me just find something to show you. Anyway, what I'm doing is I'm just bringing it edge to edge. That way you got like that little 90 right there that you can fill in with weld. And when you go to grind your welds down, you won't grind all your weld out. And plus it's a lot stronger that way. And when you're cutting pieces out and you're doing stuff like that, you don't want sharp, squared off edges. I like to round my edges off. I think it makes your weld a little stronger. So yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go along and I'm gonna tighten this all the way down where it fits, make it fit properly. Then I'll take it off, I'll cut this out, and then bring this back and weld it back in. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. It might change.
Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. They know that we're calling it love. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt to both survive and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
got it up on here fitting. I haven't cut everything out yet because I'm still kind of debating on where I'm going to go with it. What I'm doing here is, when I go to cut this, I don't want to cut this, you know, straight off and have it edged. You kind of want to stagger your welds and keep your welds separate. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to jog out here a little bit, probably cut that off right in there, which I'm going to wind up losing my my alignment guide hole, but I've got it marked on this. I'm going to go ahead and drill out some holes and stuff on this before I get to welding it. Right now, like I said, I just got it just sitting on here. It's pretty tight. I've got it all marked out pretty much how I want to do it. I'm probably going to cut this off back in here, and then I'll weld across here, then I'll come across this way, weld straight down, and on the bottom I'm back probably like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, and then I'll come across the bottom. That's really about the best way of going about doing it. I've got it all welded up and everything. It's pretty much ready to go on. Come off here. I've got it all welded up. I run a bead down the inside here on both sides. So yeah, it's actually turned out pretty good. It turned out pretty decent. I'm happy with it. So what I'm going to do now is, well, like I said, I got some of my holes marked out. Some of them. I'm going to go ahead and probably try to knock them holes out. There's my alignment hole right there. I don't know exactly what this one was for, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to notch that out. And a hole here. I have one hole here. And I have one on the top. Right here, for some reason, my welder kind of went cold and it didn't want to weld. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind that down, and then I'm going to go across that one more time because I don't like the way that looks. I mean, it ain't hurting nothing, but I mean, it all penetrated real nice, man. It actually turned out really good. So, I'm still debating on how I'm going to cut this thing. Like I said, I'm probably just going to come back and I'm going to zip this off here, zip that off, and then I got to come up about 1.5 inches and zip it off at the bottom, and then it should butt right up against the original frame. So let me go ahead and get my camera set up in a tripod and get to work. Okay, I've got it cut out the way I wanted, pretty much. I did run into a little problem. Seems that the rail I made is like 1/2 inch too wide. For some reason, I don't know how it turned out like that. I measured everything. I thought I measured everything right. But, you know, sometimes shit like this happens. Ain't no big deal. And then I already marked it, so I'm just going to cut off 1/2 inch and re-weld the bottom piece back on there. There's actually a couple different ways I could go about doing this. What I could do is I could just come and cut back so far and then bend the bottom up to connect with this, and then just cut off the excess right here and weld it all up. And I could go and do it that way, but this one right here is measuring 5.5 inches. This one right here is measuring 5 inches. So I think I'd rather just keep the whole thing at 5 inches all the way down. It fits good and everything in behind this frame rail, but it's going to fit better if I shave it down some more. That's the question. And plus, I think if I go ahead and just rip the bottom of that off and re-weld it and everything, it's going to make for a stronger rail than just coming back and, I don't know, come back and just kind of drift off to the bottom here somewhere. And then just take the bottom piece and bend it up to come up to connect with this piece, the actual frame rail. And then you can just zip the rest of that off. I don't know, man. That seems kind of lazy to me doing that. I really like to do it the right way. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to chop off the 1/2 inch and re-weld it. And shit happens, you know. You're going to run into mistakes every once in a while when you're doing shit like this. You know, you live and you learn, man. It's called, trying to think what the fuck it's called. It's called trial and error is what it's called. And, you know, you always learn something new, even if you've been doing this shit for years like I have. So, yeah, alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this thing off and move it back over to the bench. And we're going to chop that off and going to do it upright. Also, I did manage to kind of mark out some holes as close as I could to the original frame rail. I don't know if they're going to actually line up like they're supposed to, but we'll see when we get it on. Hopefully they do, or they're close, you know. This one right here, I drilled it all out and it come out almost perfect, exactly right in front of that hole, the original hole. So, yeah. Also with this one here, I've got that to come up 26 inches on the dot. That's where it's at. So let's get this camera on the tripod and you know what we're gonna do. Back from my break. I went ahead and I got my pieces. I got the piece cut off of this and shortened it a 1/2 inch. And I got me another strip cut out. All I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to, well, I am not trying, just wanting to tack this to each other. I was trying to get the bend on it. What I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to tack it as I go along and then bend it as I go along. And then I'm going to come up and trim it down to 18 1/4 and weld her up, put her on. It's good at it. Right.